In a previous video, we briefly introduced DMeta Omnihash as a generic universal anonymous identifier which users or programmers may use to recruit downlines for their own multi-level networks. Besides enabling users and programmers mark their own private data and source code, so that they may claim royalties from third parties for using them in commercial transactions. Let us now investigate how much money the innovations brought by DMeta will be worth. Let us consider the total revenues of top 5 tech companies: Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Google, Apple in 2022, which exceeded $1.2 billion. We know for a fact that they make use of plenty of private user data and free software source code written by free software programmers. Suppose a sufficient number of users and programmers issued DMeta hash contracts for the data and source code used by Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Google, Apple, and claim 0.1% of their total revenues as royalties. That would be $1 billion. Let us remind ourselves that Omnihash royalties shall exceed $1 billion, based on claims from only top 5 tech companies, at merely 0.1%. Let us next extend the scope of royalties to all listed companies in the world. How much would the Omnihash royalties be worth? Royalties is not the only way DMeta Omnihash may generate revenues. Previously, we mentioned how DMeta Omnihash enables programmers to formally monetize their source code with hash contracts and work together in large groups, without requiring tedious and costly incorporation and setting up of companies. To illustrate, let us invoke a nostalgic term: information superhighway attributed to Clinton-Gore presidency. Imagine truck companies deliver packages of goods, being equivalent to social media apps delivering posts comprising messages, photos and videos. Further, imagine a fictitious microtruck corporation, whose trucks consist of stolen components from Free Mexitrucks Corporation, a nationalized truck company in a socialist republic south of the border. Ha ha ha. Microtrucks was able to grow to become a $1 trillion company, largely thanks to the ongoing war between United States of Capitalists or Capitaland and Socialist Republic of Mexiland, where USC companies paid huge sums to gangsters in Mexiland to steal and smuggle truck parts from Mexiland, where trucks are heavily subsidized by the government. This is a metaphor to illustrate how tech companies use free software without paying the free software programmers, without politically incorrectly accusing them of stealing source codes. "30 years have come to pass and eventually the war between United States of Capitaland and Social Republic of Mexiland ended with an agreement where Capitaland truck companies will pay for the stolen parts, and fleets of Free Mexitrucks are also allowed to operate on the superhighways in Capitaland, directly generating income besides royalties paid by Capitaland truck companies." This is a metaphor to illustrate how DMeta Omnihash will help free software programmers generate income by claiming royalties from commercial users or alternatively creating their own user-friendly social media apps. By working together with other free software programmers closely and effectively using DMeta Omnihash and hash contracts as financial, technical and legal infrastructure. The history of Internet, mobile apps and social media is one of how commercial companies paid programmers to copy and modify free software modules to build apps with front-end and back-end modules. As such, there is no reason why free software programmers themselves cannot work together to make use of these components to build apps to compete with the existing giants. As DMeta Omnihash provides them a financial and legal tool to manage and organize large groups of programmers. – 2023 saw the layoffs of a large number of programmers. DMeta Omnihash will help the increasingly large pool of retired programmers to form virtual teams to compete with their former employees and gain rewards that they deserve. The collective intelligence and expertise of these prematurely retired programmers are formidable. But then again, Marxist class struggles is just a phase of cyclic trends societies go through, much like a feedback system, where forces to close the rich-poor gaps will increase when rich-poor gaps increase. DMeta Omnihash might just be one of many corrective mechanisms that parties concerned may choose. Having projected the long-term visions for DMeta Omnihash, what could each and every one of us do in the short term to make these goals come true? The simplest answer is just to share your DMeta Omnihash with people you know or do not know, and recruit them as downlines in your own multi-level networks. You might be wondering, how can such a complicated plan be achieved with such a simple step? It is because of the ingenious design of DMeta Omnihash that separates front-end and back-end operations, enabling each user or programmer to build up their own multi-level networks independently, which can later be monetized as Omnihash encapsulates the social networks as digital assets. And they in turn attract funds for developing front-end and back-end modules, which in turn attract more users and programmers to join the multi-level networks. We shall end this presentation on this note and elaborate the snowball effects of DMeta Omnihash next time. Watch this space.